15 games into this NBA regular season, we already have massive quotes from President Pat Riley discussing what the NBA trade deadline is going to look like. I'm here to break down all the bits and pieces on this episode of Heat Digest, so let's not waste any time and get right to it, breaking down where do we go from here. And the reason I titled it this is for a few reasons. The first one obviously being because we're already discussing how to blow up this Miami Heat team before we even got to the 20-game mark. And it's crazy to think that way, but again, we'll break down the quotes in just a second. And the other is because of the horrific loss last night to a Giannis-less Bucks team. Yes, without Giannis Antetokounmpo, the Milwaukee Bucks were able to beat us 106-103. We'll break down that abysmal performance briefly in just a second. But again, we are going to start with this article titled Miami Heat President Pat Riley Hints at the Team's Trade Deadline Plans, written by Anthony Pascala just yesterday on November 26th. Again, we're going to break down these quotes now. As he goes on to say, it felt obvious heading into the season that the Heat would move on from either Butler or Hero, depending on their placement in the Eastern Conference. Instead, team president Pat Riley is placing his trust in the current rotation with seemingly no plans to majorly shake up the roster, which again, this is honestly a bit surprising, and not really. And the reason I'm going back and forth with this is because we've had so much speculation, whether it's coming from the Miami Heat internally or throughout the rest of the NBA atmosphere, social media world, if you will, surrounding Butler, Rozier, even Adebayo for Giannis, Tyler Hero, who's having a career year, and then obviously a slew of role players. Obviously, all the young guys have a lot of trade value that can't be moved yet, obviously, but then we have Jovic, Jaquez, Duncan Robinson, Josh Richardson, these guys that do have an absorbent amount of value, trade value that is, and again, most likely won't be moved, but again, would be complementary pieces if we were to make a drastic blockbuster move. Again, a lot of moving pieces. So we move on to the actual quotes from team president Pat Riley, where he goes on to say, and I quote, Butler, Adebayo, Hero, Rozier, and all of the other guys that come up sort of behind them, you have to pull all this together. Riley shared on the OG's podcast with Heat legend Udonis Haslem and Mike Miller. He left that part out, but again, on the OG's podcast, it's Mike Miller and Udonis Haslem as co-hosts. And again, they go on to quote Riley in this article to say, put it together and get out there and win. And I think they're more than capable of it. Again, a quote from Pat Riley discussing the current state of this Miami Heat roster and really the depth chart. And he goes on to say, this remark will likely frustrate the community, considering the Heat love to involve themselves in rumors for the league's top superstars. If Riley does not plan on adding another star, trading Butler feels like the more likely outcome. And again, that was the entirety of the quote that we're going to use from this article written by Pascala. But again, the idea of it is not crazy by any means. Again, we've had so many trade speculations surrounding this Miami Heat team. Again, for a laundry list worth of players. We've had individual trades for Butler, not Rozier, but Butler, Adebayo, Hero have all been involved in trade speculation directly just as one dominant piece coming from the Heat. But then we've had Ware, Larson, Jovic, Jaquez, Hero, Richardson, Duncan Robinson. Like, the list goes on. And those are just the role players on this Miami Heat team have all been involved in mock trades, trade packages, trade speculation, whatever it may be, trying to land a blockbuster trade target, whether it be Giannis, whether it be Jonathan Kuminga, this, that, or the other. This Miami Heat team never fails to get out of the limelight when it comes to trade speculation, and it seems like we're all focusing on the wrong players. The one person that I didn't mention there was Terry Rozier. I did briefly, but again, I backtracked, as again, we haven't had a concrete mock trade or mock trade of trade speculation, concrete trade speculation surrounding Terry Rozier because he's the newest addition to this team. And it seems like we're trying to use him in different ways. Specifically, Eric Spoelstra trying to use him later in games rather than having him be the dominant force through the first three periods. And the reason I'm saying that is because if you watch last night's game, yes, there are a few things that we should highlight, including Jimmy Butler giving us another very, very good performance. He ended up with 23 points, 5 assists, and 4 rebounds. Plus minus of -1 in 37 minutes played. He did shoot 50% from the field, 6 of 12. And then he did get to the free throw line once again, 11 out of 13 times. He did make his 13, out of those 13 free throws, I should say. He went 11 of 13. Adebayo needs to pick it up. And again, I'll round out this whole idea in just a second. But again, in 31 minutes played, he only shot 9 times, making 6 of them, going to the free throw line 4 times, making 3 of them. But again, adding 16 points, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal. The problem is he shot 6 of 9. I need you to be more aggressive, Bam Adebayo. I understand there's only one ball to go around, and we have to be efficient and effective in what we do. But again, 6 out of 9. You're extremely efficient. You're making the shots. You're taking it. Seems like you have a favorable matchup, as the defense is not playing that much of a factor against you, as again, you are being extremely efficient in the 9 shots you have taken and making 6 of them. Again, be more aggressive, and this will make sense in just a second. Tyler Hero has had his 3rd straight game where he has not shot the ball all that well. Is it because Jimmy Butler has returned and he has to play alongside him? To be determined. We don't know that for a fact yet. Again, he led all players in minutes last night for the Heat, playing 40 of them. He shot 5 of 14 from the field, including 3 of 9 from 3 and 5 of 6 from the free throw line. Again, he was having a career year up to about 3 games ago when Butler returned. The shooting percentages have gone down, as well as the other statistical production. Again, we expected that, as he was really picking up the load without Butler being there, and also Rozier missing some of those games. Now, both of those pieces are back. The shooting percentages have gone down, so has the overall statistical production. Overall, playing a good brand of basketball, not forcing anything to not being too aggressive, I should say, on the offensive end, looking to score the basketball every time down, which is always a benefit. It really is evolving his game and evolving the Miami Heat overall. But again, this goes back to Bam Adebayo. 5 of 14. If the shot's not falling, I understand if you're open, take the shot. No way around it. Again, you're a professional basketball player. Have the confidence in yourself to knock down those shots. But again, after a certain point, if it's not falling, look to go get another player involved, like he did so well in this game and throughout this point of the season with his 5 assists and really upping his assist numbers all season long up to this point. Go and feed Bam Adebayo. He's being efficient. We have to get him the ball. Obviously, he was dealing with foul trouble in that game, and he had to sit for periods of time. But again, he was on the floor for 31 minutes. Get him more than 9 shots, especially when you're shooting less than 40% from the field on this particular night. Again, just a piece of information. Then we get to the bench, and we notice something. If you notice the starting lineup, Duncan Robinson got the start last night. He did play decently well, 4 of 7 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, and 11 points. Overall, a really good game from someone in Duncan Robinson. We don't expect that type of statistical outcome from, or production from. Rozier came off the bench and played 21 minutes. He shot 7 of 9 from the field, and I will say it is strictly because of the 4th quarter. In the 4th quarter alone, these are his stats. Obviously, at the top are his overall stats, 17 points, 3 rebounds, and a block. But if you look in the 4th quarter specifically, he played 12 minutes, provided 13 points, 2 rebounds, and a block with a plus-minus of +2. He shot 100% from the field, including 5 of 5 from the field, making all 3 of his 3-point shots. He had 1 turnover in those 13 minutes. But again, overall, a flat-out phenomenal, dominant performance in the 4th quarter alone. And now with that, it's going to be hard to make the claim of trading Terry Rozier. But again, if there is one person to trade, it would be Terry Rozier. And the reason I say that is because there's only one basketball, and this team without him would still be pretty damn good. And with what you would get back, whether it be just straight draft compensation or a very strictly just a role player, I think they would fit in. Just someone who can knock down threes and play a little bit of defense, rebound the basketball. That is all we're looking for. It doesn't matter if they play 4 minutes or 14 minutes or 40 minutes. It's just someone not to dominate the ball as much as someone as Terry Rozier does. Again, if this continues to work, I am not going to say a word about trading Terry Rozier. I'm just throwing it out there. If we had to trade one, I would vote Rozier. I think Hero and Butler are going to fit in very well. I think the scheme and the culture there is very good. Obviously, Bam Adebayo is not going anywhere. There's no reason to even have that conversation. So again, out of all the pieces, it would be Rozier. But again, I am not going to even attempt to make that claim if Eric Spoelstra continues to use him in this way, and Terry Rozier is nothing but accepting of this idea, and he continues to really flourish in this role. Won't hear any complaints out of me. Hopefully it results in a Miami Heat win next time when we get a performance like that from Terry Rozier, specifically in that 4th quarter, to really maintain a close game and make it really, really competitive. For Damian Lillard, he absolutely killed this last night. Ended with 37 points and 12 assists. Again, this is without Giannis Antetokounmpo. He made 8 threes, and in the 1st quarter alone, he had 17 of his 37 points in 9 minutes played, as well as 3 assists and a steal. He had a plus-minus of +10, shooting 5 of 7 from the field, 71%, and 4 of 5 from behind the three-point line. Again, just strictly in the first quarter. We have to tighten it up defensively. There's no way around it. I will say we only gave up 106 points, which is below our average for the year. But again, we only put up 103. That is what I'm going back to when I discuss. Do not rely on the offense. Put the pressure on our defense. Try to not to give up 105, 110 points per game, and you will see this Miami Heat team be a lot more victorious. They didn't have Giannis, and we gave up 106 points. And we were only able to score 103. I know it's scenarios change, context matters, but again, it's very, very upsetting to see us drop a game as important as this one was. Again, if we look at the standings as of now, wherever I put them right here, we are currently a half game back from them. We were tied in games back from first place with the Milwaukee Bucks, but going into that game, it was not one we should have dropped. At the end of the year, we are going to look back on some of these games against the Wizards that we drop, against the Charlotte Hornets, teams that are just simply not very good. The Toronto Raptors. A team in the Milwaukee Bucks who don't have Giannis Antetokounmpo, we cannot lose these games. They are going to be too vital going down the stretch, as we cannot be a play-in team for the third straight year down here in Miami. But again, that'll be it for this episode of Heat Digest. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think our NBA trade deadline should look like in Miami, and I'll see you guys on the next one.